much. I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Laurence Ion. And Laurence has been doing this for quite a while, and I'm going to let him start his talk. Go ahead, Laurence.
This is my intro. So this is going to be a different talk. I'm Laurence Ion. Although, I am actually curious, how many of you would like to see a Manhattan project for longevity? Okay, so that's what I'm building. Building a whole new city from scratch to accelerate innovation in medicine in general, but with a focus on longevity.
Somebody said Manhattan. Who was that? One of our speakers said that. Who was it? Remember?
One of the first, right at the beginning, yeah.
That was a great Manhattan project, right? That was a great thing to think of. That's what we need.
Yeah, we need the Manhattan Project. A moonshot. I know this is going to be very hard to build, but we've been on it, and I'd love to walk you through the whole thinking process and our history and where we could go from here. Because what we really need is a revolution against aging. So I'm going to try something. I'd love to get feedback from you guys. So shout. If something resonates, shout. Dude. If something bores you, shout. Boring. All right. There we go. And if you don't get something, I don't get it. Great. I'd love to see this. Yeah. Let's do it. So health. Everyone says health is the most important thing, right? In a way, I am grateful to have been born with a genetic disease. I have spent, as a child, a lot of time in hospitals, a lot of surgeries growing up. I know what it feels to be frail, and I know that I don't want to live into that future where I'm more frail and I have more of that suffering. And that brought me here. I think most young people are thinking they're invincible, and they don't think about aging until it's later. Too late, maybe. So this is not switching. Okay. Nobody wants to end up like this, right? I would also say you don't want just healthy aging like this. What we really want is for everyone to be perfectly young in peak health. The movie In Time with Justin Timberlake, he presents his mother, his daughter, and his wife. Right? They're all perfectly healthy and young. And my vision is that in the 2030s, we can do what Ozempic has done, the GLP-1s have done for weight loss. We can rejuvenate people, make 90 the new 50 or something like that. Warren Buffett is here because he said he would give all his money to be young again. He has given 0. Dude. And humans can coordinate to achieve amazing things, like putting a man on the moon. I think we should stop fucking around and cure aging. Declare aging as the scourge as it is. And if I would be the president of the US, I would be like, by the end of the 2030s, I'm not going to say the decade is not realistic. At the end of the 2030s, we will conquer aging. But I'm not. So I think we can still coordinate through other mechanisms, novel mechanisms like the internet and so on. This is the percentage of your taxes that are going to aging research right now. So the top-down, I'm not so sure it works. Science, the current model is pretty broken. There are a lot of problems. Funding is centralized. You have these risk-averse, iterative processes. You have a lot of bureaucracy, right? You agree with me on that, I hope. Even the ones of you who have been funders. Replication, it's not reproducible. Negative results aren't incentivized to be published. There's a huge problem with incentives. The citations are not a good incentive mechanism. There's this publish or perish pressure. Science is not properly communicated, it's inaccessible, there's paywalls and so on. All these are huge problems and more. There's this idea of decentralizing science, by the people, for the people, bottom up, DeSci. It just simply means funding, execution, and publishing of science without permission, without institutional permission. And as a founding member of Vita DAO, I know that a bunch of people, over 15,000 people in the community, we can all coordinate to scalably fund. This is a funding DAO. We funded dozens of projects and gotten them from early stage ideas in papers to something that can be spun out, patented. We spun out a bunch of companies. And 4 of them are still active. One project was ready to go into clinical trials, and we realized it would be faster to build a city and get over this problem of overregulation. There's an invisible graveyard of people dying, waiting for medicine that could have saved their lives. I know a lot of regulators, they're good people, I think they have good intentions, very smart, trying to prevent harm. But unfortunately, the way the incentives are set up is not working properly. There's a type 2 versus type 1 versus type 2 error. You have type 1 error when you approve a drug that you shouldn't have and it kills a few people, but people don't look at the invisible graveyard, the type 2 error, right? Not approving a drug, and you don't see anything in the news that someone died because a drug was delayed, right? When a drug gets approved, I know the FDA was at some point declared, we approved this drug, now we're going to save 10,000 lives a year. Well, when you said that, the fact that it took 7 years to be approved, you just admitted that you just killed 70,000 people. And there's so many examples like this. There's, of course, GLP-1s were discovered in the 90s, took a lot to iterate through the very slow feedback process. It took decades, right? And they also reduced cardiovascular disease risk by 20%. If you multiply that across the world, if everyone could have access to these, that's millions per year, tens of millions after decades of delay of people that didn't have to die, and so on. Yeah, so progress is triangulated. You have way too much regulation. Thank you. It's regulatory capture as well, centralized science. You might know my friend Jacques Cannell's framing of the Moore's law read inversely. It's Eroom's law, how you have less and less productivity from pharma. It's kind of like proposing, this is from a YouTube video where they're proposing the speed limit at 4 miles an hour. And if you disagree, what do you want people to die? Like, people would die anyway, right? Like, by not getting food into cities, by not getting to the hospital and so on. Like, we need to find a balanced mechanism. And of course, we want safety. And another way to frame it is instead of going through this long winding road, sometimes it might be better to just do rigorous safety trials, don't compromise on safety, and go directly to a life-saving drug, and then you can do the rest of the efficacy trials, phase 2, phase 3, and so on the market, and people can choose when to buy it, and so on. So yeah, you have 2 ways to accelerate innovation. One is voice, trying to reform the system, and I think maybe 80% of the effort should be on that. I want to hedge. I'm going to do the 20%, the exit. Let's build a sandbox where we try out a different framework, different set of laws and regulations. So that's where a city would come in, where we have a special jurisdiction with our own laws and regulations. As a big community of people living in a place, we have leverage to say, this is our city, our laws, our bodies, our choice. Who are you to tell us what we can and cannot do with our bodies, right? Many of you might know Dallas Buyers Club, famous movie in the 80s. You have HIV epidemic. They had this kind of, by the people for the people. Let's make a buyers club. Let's import these peptides from Mexico and so on, and helping each other. And then the movement ACT UP to reform the FDA was slightly successful, but not enough. I do think, by the way, movies are the way to inspire the world. So Jellyfish DAO is another project I have been involved with, starting to create movies that show longevity in a positive light. Because all the stories we're told about, Voldemort, the Fountain of Youth. It's always some cautionary tale, right? That we shouldn't attempt it. Even Icarus, like he flew too close to the sun, got its wings burnt and fell down. Like, you shouldn't attempt to fly or something, right? Like, now we fly all the time. Top physicists were saying that heavier than air flying machines are impossible even after the Wright brothers flew. Like, they had to fly over their heads, and like the press didn't believe it and all that, right? I do think we're saying all these rational arguments in our little conferences here. Most of the world will not be convinced by rational arguments. So I would love to see more efforts. It doesn't have to be this, but some way in which we create more movies inspiring the world about a society without aging, how amazing that could be. So yeah, my dream, I have a dream, is that we can create Operation Warp Speed for medicine in general, especially for longevity. Bring drugs to market on the order of a few months instead of decade plus, and on the order of $1 million instead of billions. This is hard, but we can think outside the box. And I think we can do it. New cities have been built before, the Manhattan Project, right? And they use science to work on a crisis. The crisis was the World War II. And COVID was a crisis. We had Operation Warp Speed. But aging is a much fucking bigger crisis, right? Even just, yeah, thank you. Even just Alzheimer's is a bigger crisis than COVID. More people dying, more people suffering. But how do you start a new city or a new country, a new state? There's this whole movement that became quite popular about the network state. Take something like VitaDAO, an online community that's aligned for collective action, can get shit done, and then you crowdfund territory all over the world. And as you have more territory than some countries, more GDP than some countries in terms of the people that are subscribed to your community online, and then with the crowdfunded territory in person, you can maybe gain some diplomatic recognition. And so that might take a long time to see, like this kind of archipelago. So meanwhile, this is by Vitalik Buterin. We went to, we're thinking like between an online community and creating this new society we're dreaming of, what do we do in between? So we actually thought, let's do an experiment. One order of magnitude more people than a co-living house, and one order of magnitude longer than a conference. So for 2 months, we brought 200 people to Montenegro and built Zuzalu in this resort about 3 years ago. And it was life-changing for a lot of us. We had healthy food by default, we tracked our biomarkers and did sauna and connected, explored frontier tech like AI, crypto, how to govern a city with crypto, and how to innovate in biotech and so on, and longevity. So we have one step here. We do a pop-up village. But then what? How do you get to a new society? So we continued experimenting. We built Vitalia in Honduras on top of an existing special jurisdiction called Prospera, and decided to stay there for a while. Then now we're looking for a new location. We rebranded to Viva City. We actually have $2 million out as a bounty, as finder's fee, if someone makes an introduction to a host country leader, and we end up partnering with that country to build our city, create that special jurisdiction there. That person gets $1 million as long as they're not a public official and all that. And then if you connect us to a person that connects us, you get $500,000. And if you just spread the word in your like third, fourth level of separation, you still get some percentage of the 2 million. So that's our incentive scheme. And then next we went and said, let's build some other permanent hubs in major cities. Let's bring the horizontal village into vertical village in existing major cities. So that's Frontier Tower here in the Bay Area, downtown San Francisco, in the center, Civic Center, 6th and Market. Come by, visit it. You can also apply to become a member. I'd love to have you, especially that we have all these floors. We have a longevity floor, but we also have AI floor, crypto floor, robotics, baker space. We have a lab, biolab. People can do experiments there. We have a bunch of biotech companies working out of it. Also, we have arts and music, creating the culture for this new society, and a gym and sauna, and infamous robot fight club in the basement, if you heard of it. Yeah, and this is it doesn't look like this, but it's an old slide. Yeah, longevity floor, have 3 pillars to it. Wellness, meet people where they are with the wellness, healthy food and exercising together. It's also important for our productivity. Then a clinic where we have some interventions. We have a doctor that does consultations, prescriptions, some interventions like hyperbaric oxygen therapy and red light therapy and things like that. We also incubate companies, help them fundraise, help them recruit employees and so on. And then the peptides boom. I want to say something about this before I end. It is interesting to me, right? I would love to hear your thoughts about all this because in a way you have all these people that want advanced medicine today. They want that instant gratification. They want to self-experiment. But, it's first of all, it's advanced medicine boom. What they want is effective things that work, not just expensive pea supplements. It's the enhancement boom, the self-experimentation boom, but there's no quality control. There's huge issues. This could be a big backlash to the whole movement of self-experimentation if, as people start getting more hurt and die and so on. There's no rigorous data collection. It doesn't really help us to find out what works and what doesn't. So I would love to see something change in here, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts. How we can, we need a revolution, right? We need to, I think, already plug into an existing tide that rises all boats, and not just be doing things the traditional way, which is, I don't think it's working fast enough. I just don't think we're gonna make NGMI kind of thing, as the kids say. We're not gonna make it unless we do something different. Just throw a wrench into the system, something. So maybe this is there's something to do with this. I'd love to talk to you and explore how we can do it without sacrificing our rigor. And so I would love to see each and every one of you do at least something more. I know a lot of you are working on the science. I'd love for you to also work towards the coordination layer, towards getting the mainstream somehow involved. That's, I think, the only way we can make this happen within my parents' lifetime, even my lifetime, and just acceleration is the most impactful thing we can do when it comes to longevity biotech. So this is you can sign up to stay up to date with Viva City, join our community, but also stay tuned as we're gonna launch something new. We're still cooking. Yeah, if you have any questions, suggestions, I'd love to interact. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask for some questions here, but I just have some a little bit of clarification. I'm not very up on the Manhattan Project. And I think it was Greg Cole that talked about that. So wasn't Robert Oppenheimer ran the project, right? He's at Stanford, or where was he? He was. Like where? Like maybe Berkeley, maybe? Oh yeah, right, yeah. Okay, so right, Robert. Oh right, he was here. I forgot. Okay, right. And then like Laurence, who built the cyclotron to separate U-238. He was at Stanford, though, right? No, he's at Berkeley too. Gosh, I'm not really good at. I don't know like Berkeley history very well. And then what about Glenn Seaborg, who came up with plutonium, who basically that material was used in one of the atomic bombs that was, and it helped end the war. He was at Stanford, right? No, he's here too. Oh gosh, I've got to read my history books. So yeah, about the Manhattan Project. So Berkeley was instrumental in the Manhattan Project, and that's why I believe, and that's why I'm here. I believe Berkeley is going to be involved in slowing down the aging process, stopping it, maybe even reversing it. Okay? Yeah. Because I think if we can turn a caterpillar into a butterfly, you're telling me that's like, I mean, okay, if I were to say I'm going to turn into like a polar bear or something like that, right? Which is, I mean, I kind of look like I got but a caterpillar and a butterfly, they look like nothing like each other, okay? So if Mother Nature can pull that off, right, randomly, by the way, okay, natural selection, sure, but basically there was no AI used to turn a caterpillar to a butterfly. It was just like done by Mother Nature. Anyways, I just want to, just a little shout out for Stanford because that's a great place to be, right? Anyways, sorry, Stanford. Questions? Yes? Can you detect a little animosity between us and them? Yeah, there's something going on there. And our football, well, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah, so interesting idea. I was just wondering about the surveying the amount of restrictions or amount of permissiveness. Like if you were to say, okay, we can go to X countries that will let you do, right to try and other things, like trying to assemble enough what the permissiveness you want using different locations, going offshore with a cruise ship or something like that. Like, it's kind of like instead of a full city, a distributed system.
I think we need legitimacy. We need top scientists to move, convince their spouses to move. It has to be an awesome location, bring the credibility and legitimacy. If it's some ship off like in international waters, that's just, I mean, some people are gonna take the therapy, some people are gonna be willing to do these therapies on others, like some doctors are gonna move and go on that ship, but it's not going to be something scalable. We need 1,000 therapies to have effects, good effects on humans, to get anywhere close to putting a dent in this problem of aging and death.
Yeah. Irene?
My name is exactly That's my. You call me Irene.
Irene.
Which is very cute as well. So, so anyways, so what you said, first of all, it was great talk, the best in my opinion of today. And what you said about that we need many projects moving forward is right now a big weakness, because in the current funding situation, it is winner takes all. And because of that, there is a temptation to hype up and exaggerate and not to do all the controls and not to say I stand corrected. So I don't know how that can be solved, but in my opinion, without significant funding, there will be no collaborations, and there will be no many, like it is this guy who was putting, dragging the rock up the hill, and then rock goes back down. Sisyphus, exactly. So we need thousands of us to move the rock so it doesn't go back down. So do you have any ideas on how to improve the funding situation?
Thank you. That's a great question. I'm going to give it back to Laurence here.
So first of all, we need good standards for rigor. As you mentioned, there's incentive to exaggerate. One thing that might not be super obvious in what I'm doing is that this is a private community. It's filtered for the best of the best. So if you're technically not doing anything illegal in the rest of the world, you can still continue, right? You're not doing something so egregious. If you're sort of sleazy snake oil salesman, you don't go to prison, right? But in our community, we don't really want to engage with you. Like, we don't want to play with you. Like, we want to always have rigor in everything that is being done. So evidence-based, right? So, and then when it comes to funding, yeah, we need this, I think, huge worldwide revolution. I believe in playing within the capitalist flywheel, creating something that can grow and add more, bring more capital instead of relying on just top-down government funding. And I love that in this model, you change the whole biotech equation. Instead of it being 8 to 10 years until you see returns, if you just make a safety trial in a few months with a few 100,000 or $1 million-ish, because you might have failures per drug, and you can go and start selling. Now, of course, before you prove efficacy, I believe it should be selling at cost, and after you prove efficacy, you can make your profit. But that changes, you can attract capital much more easily if you don't need that much of it, and you can quickly go to revenue. Biotechs don't usually, they're not really businesses in the sense of going to customers and getting revenue. Their main customer is FDA, right? And they have such a huge timeline until they get to anywhere. And they also just sell to pharma, and then pharma does the marketing and gets their revenue.
Thank you so much, Laurence. Thank you so much. I'm going to introduce our, thank you.